Welcome everyone back to another market talk. Today we obviously have my handsome partner Jeffrey Kalafut here, as well as Robert Snyder from Silex Financial and Joe Valente from Tabatchouk Law. Welcome everybody.
Hey,
Going on,
good to be
guys?
back.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, it is good to be back.
It's good to be back. We are in 2024 and we are trying to make sense out of nonsense in today's real
Mhm.
estate market.
I like
So
that. Yep.
Um, there's a lot of predictions out there that 2024 is going to be maybe changing the horizon of what's happening out there in the market. I'm hearing some rumblings that things are going to change, but we definitely would love to get your guys' perspective on what you see and what you think is going to be happening in 2024 in the housing market. So, Bob, as always,
Sure.
sir, would you like to start with rates, what you see, what you're hearing,
Sure.
and where do you think 2024 is going to look like in regards to that?
Sure. We've seen some settling in the rate market. We're back in the sixes. It's been bouncing around in the sixes, so we saw some low sixes for a while. We're seeing high sixes now, but we're bouncing around in the sixes. It seems to settle down, and what that's done is, since we were all the way up close to eight, and some places were in the eights,
Mhm.
I think that people are saying, sixes aren't so bad, and we're seeing more buyers, even more buyers, come back into the market. So
Mhm.
I'm getting uh, plenty of phone calls from buyers getting ready, looking to buy this year. I'm getting calls from clients that were pre-approved a year ago and decided that they were on hold for a little bit because of the higher rates that are coming back. So I
Mhm.
think it's just going to add to more chaos in the market this year, because there's just going to be even more buyers out there. And still, I mean, you tell me, still, what's going to solve the inventory problem?
Yeah. Inventory problem, that's a great question. And like you said, interest rates are dropping into the sixes now. I mean, there are some rumblings that, by May, and obviously this is going to be an election year, right?
Yep.
So it's going to be chaotic. No matter what, things are going to be moving and shaking because it's pretty crazy that, obviously the Fed can flip a switch and basically change how the United States operates in residential or any, operates at all. Um, but I do think we are going to see possibly drop below six and hit the fives, and some people are saying possibly by May. But I could be completely wrong, but I think we're definitely going to see some more rate drops as we progress in 2024 for sure.
Well, I think the Fed is preparing at some point this year to lower rates. I think some of those are going to be baked in. So it's just a matter of how many times they cut rates this year. I'm not sure if we'll see fives that early, but I think by the end of the year, we could very easily be in the fives.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too is that let's people say they have what's called the lock-in effect, right? People are calling it the lock-in effect in regards to, what mortgage rate is the lock-in effect come into play. And that's around 3 to 4%. So we have, 78% of mortgages in the United States are below 5%. I mean,
Yeah.
5% interest rate. Okay. So we have a huge number below 5% at 78% of mortgage rates. So if we have a lock-in effect where people are just holding at 3 to 4% interest rates, as we drop below five and we hit, not below five, excuse me, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but we drop below six and we get into the fives, that might affect the people who are in that lock-in rate start to make moves because maybe it's a point and a half or a
Yeah.
point. So to for the inventory issue, I think if it gets below in the high fives or even 5.5, I think we're going to start seeing people creep out of that lock-in effect mortgage rates and start putting more homes on the market.
Funny, that's the discussion we've been having a lot. What is the magic number? What is that rate that causes people to jump? All right,
I think
I'm
it's in
out
the
of
five.
space. I need a
I,
bigger place, but my rate is three.
Mhm.
I'll jump at
I feel like five
I
and a
think
half is
there's
like that
fives.
magical. Yeah.
I
Like
think so.
5.5 would be like, to me, would generate a lot of activity.
I think so too. I think that because I think the population is coming to the conclusion that we're probably never going to see threes again. And it's it's just the reality of the situation. I think people are coming to terms with that. And I do believe that in the 5.5 range, we could really see a good influx of inventory on the market for sure.
The crazy part about that, though, I mean, yes, it'll be an influx, but is it really going to touch the inventory shortage that we're dealing with?
Yeah.
I think what I think really what it's going to do is, yes, more homes will hit the market. The buyers that we've had that are waiting will be in that market, and it's going to drive prices up on those homes even higher than we have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in certain markets. Certain markets and certain price points have still been, going like crazy.
Yeah.
But I think we
No,
get in those fives and more people, hop on that bus to go out and buy. It's going to
Mhm.
get a little crazy,
and all those sellers have to go somewhere, right? I
right?
mean, unless they're leaving the state, they all have to find a place, and then the lower rates, so more people qualify. So I'm with you. I think it's still gonna have an inventory problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
our
think
shortage is just so vast right now. There's nothing that can solve this inventory shortage in a matter of probably 5 or 10 years. It's going to take time.
yeah. Especially in the Northeast. I
Yeah.
think we are going to struggle the most. I think we're definitely going to be behind the curve on in regards to inventory, especially in new construction, as compared to maybe the Midwest or something like that, where they have a little bit more space to build. But especially, because a lot of the major home builders in the area, especially in the Northeast, I mean, they usually go after, golf courses that are underperforming and they'll
Mm.
buy those golf courses up, redevelop them, get approvals and all that stuff. But, in the last couple of years, golf has shot up, right? So now golf courses are making money. So also, where's all this extra land coming from in the pocket of the
Yeah,
Northeast?
there is none.
There is none. But maybe we should just start making land, man. That's what we need to do.
If only we could.
Only we could. Um, Joe, what are you seeing, man? You seeing? I know before we got on the call, we were even talking about the shakeout of transactions these days compared to previous years of how you know there are issues that are coming up that are having some transactions fall apart. What are you seeing now in New Jersey and in New York right now when it comes to trying to get things closed?
Yep. Well, to start off on a positive note, um, January this year is a lot better than January of last year. I mean, that was a dark time for the profession. Like, I was like thinking, do I need to get into another profession? I didn't get that bad, but it was dark. Yeah, I was slowest that period than any period of my career, and this year the transactions are definitely way up from there. Um,
Mhm.
as a whole, I think we touched upon a lot of it already. There is a lot of activity, but with that activity comes like these deals are just very problematic.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in previous um, sessions, the amount of cancellations are just such a high rate comparatively speaking to what they should be.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's because of the lack of inventory, the tensions of the parties. There's a lot of things coming together, which is making every deal very difficult to get to the finish line. So,
Right.
the deals are up from last year. They are more difficult than they've ever been. Um, as a whole, I'd say there's a lot of people that want to purchase, and it's
Hmm.
just trying to find it's trying to find the property. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a cyclical conversation we're having.
for sure. So is it safe to say you're not going to be a grocery bagger at ShopRite? This
Right.
We're good. We're
you're
good.
good.
The
But
furthest
listen, you're not alone. I mean,
we're all
my
we're all
yeah,
small type business owners, and like
yeah,
we kind of bear you, you eat what you kill mentality, right? So
yeah.
Well,
we
it's
don't
had
have
an
the luxury
impact
to
on.
sit back and just collect the paycheck. So yeah, when the market takes drastic turns in the downward direction, of course it's nervy, but there's
Yeah.
definitely a lot more stability this year in terms of you know how much activity is there going to be, and I
Mhm.
think the rates are going to dictate how much activity we will have. I mean, it's just simple as that. It's not going to solve the inventory problem, but it'll create a a little more inventory.
I do think that the higher rates on the way down are easier mentally for people
Yes.
than the way up, right? Like, so sixes on the way up were, oh wow, sixes. But on the way down, people were like, oh, good, sixes,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. It
As
changes
a
the tune.
consumer economy, right? That's the way we are. Our nation in particular is you could have the same number, the same rate. You know, think about anything you're purchasing. The way it's presented to you is everything.
It's all
If you get six
perception.
point 6.5 out of 3, it's not well received. You get
Mhm.
6.5 down from an 8, it makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I'll purchase that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Give me that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hurts a little less.
It hurts a little less, but yeah, I think that's a very good point. And a lot of the scars have been healed in that respect. It's not like the shock anymore of the mortgage. It's just people want to feel like they're getting a good deal is what it comes down to. And
Yeah.
like you said, dipping below 6 may be that good deal that people are waiting for.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's a lot of people, paying attention now. Like, all right, is it time for us to go now? Is it time for us to make things happen for sure? Um,
Let me
but
ask you
yeah.
guys a question. What is the mentality of the buyers out there? I mean,
Mhm.
it's been they're the ones have had the hardest time.
Mhm.
The sellers have had it easy, right? What is the mentality of the buyer who really wants to be in a house, has seen a bunch of homes and lost out on a bunch of bidding wars? You know, are they just tired of it, or are they excited that this year they think this year is going to change a bit?
It's a mixture of feelings. There's a lot of frustration. I mean, I have some buyers that I've personally been working with for over 3 years,
Mhm.
Hmm.
putting offers in. I mean, and getting blown out of the water on stuff that we're writing offers 70, 80 grand over ask. So, those people, they're still in it, but they're shell shocked from what has occurred, and they're really paying attention to the rates more than ever before. The new buyers that come in, they don't really have as much of an idea of what we just went through. They just see that there's an inventory shortage. I have certain buyers right now that are looking at the low 300s. There's so few homes that you can get anywhere in that
Mhm.
price point, where that used to be the entry level home for a first time home buyer. you know
Yeah.
um I've been working with some people right now that they keep saying, oh, we're gonna wait. I'm like, listen, like, if the house hits that makes sense to you guys, we have to see it immediately and get an offer in on it, because that might be the only one that fits your criteria for the next 6 months.
Mhm.
And it's a hard pill to swallow for buyers. I've just been brutally honest about it, keep them updated on the market conditions, and show them, hey, listen, like, I can't wave a magic wand and make something appear that doesn't exist. But when it does pop up, don't wait. Don't wait at all
You
right
ready to
now.
jump, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there are there are some buyers obviously that are exhausted for sure, right? And one of the parts of our job is to try to manage expectations as well and give clarity to the situation of what they're dealing with, and also increase, give them the best odds possible, but also being upfront on their current financial situation and be like, hey, here's your situation, but if we're going up against 10 different offers, it's going to be tough. So, but like what Jeff said, if you see something that you love, you got to jump on it quick, um, and just, hold on for the ride, and we'll obviously navigate those waters as best as possible. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's a good point in terms of, you know, as difficult as it is with an inventory problem, it's only going to get more difficult if those rates do drop. Because even though you have more homes hitting the market, your pool of buyers is going to go up like tenfold.
right.
So it's all about a numbers game, right? More houses available, but competition goes through the roof, and
And
it
that's
is
where
true.
educating your clients is going to be critical as a real estate agent, because you have to be, number one, you got to be on your A game with the right, guiding them in the right direction with, hey, these are the terms you're probably going to want to consider to get an offer accepted.
Hmm.
Because it's not going to be, oh, here's the house that hits the market. I love this house and I'm going to offer asking, because a lot of people, they go and, oh, I'll give them what they want for it. That, in most markets and most locations, that's not going to fly. But,
Yeah.
but telling them that is one thing, but then showing them the numbers, showing them the closed sale, showing them the list price to sell price ratio, going over all those details, that's where we need to be better you know, as real estate agents and our team especially, right?
Mhm.
To educate that consumer to make sure they know when they're writing that offer, yeah, you want a deal, but you want the house, you
Yeah.
know, and if you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna get a deal if you don't get it. So
Yeah.
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 Right.
I think, especially, if we're looking at the agents, we're talking about buyer's fatigue, right? And we're also talking about, in direct correlation with that, is agent fatigue.
oh yeah.
And the biggest thing, when agent fatigue starts setting in, and what I mean by that is these agents are writing so many offers. But if that agent starts to get fatigued on writing these offers and like, hey, I know this isn't going to work situation, those offers that get delivered to those listing agents get sloppy. And as
Mm.
soon as those offers get sloppy and they're not well put together or communicated to the listing agent, you're dropping way down on the totem pole. So, we make sure that we tell agents like, hey, when you put an offer in, make sure you break it down. You make it as simple as possible for that listing agent to gather the information they are receiving. Because if you have 13 offers, right, and you just slap a couple PDFs on an email and you fire it off, and that agent has to comb through everything to find that information, and you're giving them more work to do when they're trying to filter through 13 or 20 offers, it's not going to go in the agent's favor or the buyer's favor.
And you're
So
not helping your client by doing that at all.
no. So the biggest thing is obviously there's buyer's fatigue and then agent fatigue. And I think good agents have to realize that they have to be on point all the time to increase the probability and the odds for their client to even have a shot in today's market.
Yeah, the agent fatigue is real. I mean, we have conversations with people every single day about, you know, what this market's been like and people considering leaving the business altogether. I mean, how many people have
Yeah.
left the industry, not just real estate agents, but lenders and
Yeah.
switching,
Yeah.
switching their directions, going to bag groceries and ShopRite, you know.
Joe, are they hiring ShopRite? You know?
Let you guys know.
But it is
Uh,
a, you know, the whole market's been a trickle down effect on every aspect of this, from the agents to the attorneys to
Yeah.
the lenders to the home inspectors and the vendors that we all use.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, I feel like we weathered the storm so far. I think the worst is now over and we're
Mhm.
over that hump. And I think that coming into this year, especially going into February, I think things are going to start to brighten up a little bit for all of us. We
For
just have
sure.
to be ready for it.
Yeah. We
I
definitely have
agree.
some scars for sure.
Oh
Got
yeah.
some scars. Still licking our wounds. Um, But yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride, but I do think, change is in the horizon, for sure. I mean, and another thing too is like I think the average, depending on the pockets of areas, I mean, I think, year over year, we're going to probably still see a 4 to 5% appreciation rate on homes. I don't see that dipping that much, especially when interest rates are coming down. Um, so we're going to see some appreciation, continue to average. It's not going to, it might not be like a 20% appreciation rate, like it was a couple of months ago, like
Yeah.
month after month. It's just like boom, boom, boom. You're like, holy cow, 100 grand over asking. What's going on here? So,
Yeah, that
um,
wasn't sustainable. And it's, you know, we
no.
need to level off a little bit.
Right. But what's crazy is that even that some of these properties were, say going over 100,000 over asking, one was 130 that I heard of. Um, I don't see, even though it was purchased at that, I don't see it dropping 130,000 in
no.
market value,
No,
right? So
No.
that person kind of made a smart move because now they can refinance, down
yeah,
the road if they want to, and then the appreciation rate will just catch up to their purchase price, and they're sitting pretty if they're going to hold on to it for 15, 20 years, you know?
right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, there's not one shoe fits all kind of situation. But I do, like I said, I do think there is some change on the horizon for sure for the better. So we don't have to go bag groceries at ShopRite.
Hmm.
I think the one thing that you mentioned though about the lack of new build
Yeah.
is something that we're all going to feel it because it's a subset of the business that's just not really there. You know, the
Mhm.
amount of new construction deals that I had, you know, comparatively speaking to what's existed the last 2 years, I mean, it's just few and far between on the new build.
Yeah. And I mean, you're seeing some, and a lot of times it's, if it is new build, it is townhouses or
Townhouses.
condominiums.
Yeah. The condo
Yeah.
market.
you're not really seeing a huge influx of single family properties.
No,
Um,
nope. Yeah, HOA type stuff. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And luxury rentals. I mean, they were starting to see a lot of that, these luxury rental buildings, because the rental market's tough too.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and in my opinion too, is like these builders, obviously material costs are still, still high, right? Things aren't cheap. So these builders are finding pockets to do these townhouses and condos because, you know, the volume they can do, the
Yep.
efficiency they can do,
Mhm.
all in one location instead of building a
Yep.
single family, moving everything, building a single family and stuff like that. So it's just, I think maybe if material costs start, dropping down a little bit and there is enough space, we might see some more single families come in the market. But these builders are trying to look at their margins and keep everything buttoned up as fast as possible and be as efficient as possible. So that's why I think we're also seeing a lot of townhouses and stuff like, and also mixed use buildings happening.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you look at some of these metropolitan areas, some of these old warehouses and stuff like that that are just getting turned into condos and mixed use. I mean, you jump over to PA, you look in Easton right now. Easton's out of control. I mean, they're
Yeah.
doing all
My
kinds.
parents live there. It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. I remember back in the day when one of my best buddies was at Lafayette College and going down in downtown Easton compared to what it looks like now.
Big
I
change.
know.
Big changes,
It's
man.
night and day now.
You wouldn't want to go down there like 15, 20 years ago. Yeah.
No,
No,
no.
not at all. Not at all. But yeah, so like I said, I think we're heading in a better direction for everybody. Um and yeah, I'm hoping, change is definitely a good thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I
anything,
agree with Joe. The numbers are much better this January than last, and the
Yeah.
activity is, and you could say it's because weather, but last January the weather was much nicer than this. This has been a cold January, and
yeah,
yet
Mhm.
the activity is still much stronger. So it's not
yep,
weather related.
no. And so going back also to people moving, I still think you're seeing the industry, you're seeing sometimes the workforce or some companies are still, some are pushing full come back into the office situation. You're seeing that a little bit, and some like a hybrid of both. But there are some companies that who, since COVID have completely adopted work from home. And I've had a lot of conversations with people who are, moving out of state as well, who are actually entertaining the fact that it's out of state because their company has the infrastructure to move. So, um, those are definitely conversations that are probably going to continue happening with the new infrastructure of the workforce in certain corporations. So, um, a lot of moving and shaking, a lot of
Yeah.
moving and shaking. So. We'll see what happens.
Dude,
Good.
yeah, I do. It sounds like we're gonna be wrapping up, but do you think there's the rumblings that we may have like the first spring market that we haven't really had the last few years? You think is there any truth to that, or is that just like, yeah, hearsay?
If,
I've heard the same rumblings, by the way. People have
yep,
been saying that. Yeah.
I hope you're right.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think that will, everybody I talk to has a couple listings coming,
hmm
right?
Which
Which
you
is a
didn't, which we definitely did not have at all last year.
no, because last
And even
year, going through February and into March, everybody was
yeah,
in pure panic mode.
yep,
yeah, and I remember when like spring was approaching and there wasn't any talk of listings hitting the market. I'm like, man, like this is not good. This
No,
is not a
no.
good thing.
I don't know that we'll ever see a true spring market like we were used to in the past because at this point, I mean, when the house is ready to be sold and ready to go, there's no reason with the inventory
There's no
shortage
reason to
not to
wait.
list
Yeah,
it,
Yeah.
right? Just
right.
put it on there.
yep,
Um, but with that being said, I think we're going to see a better spring than we did last year. That's for sure. I think
yep,
that, we have a couple coming on, other people on our team have some more coming on. It's going to start trickling in, and obviously people, from outside of our organization have stuff coming too, which I love to see more inventory because it's more of a shot to get some buyers into some homes.
yeah. And I don't think it's a lack of people wanting to move or sell. I don't think that is.
No.
And I think if it, no one can predict the future, but if by May we're lower than 6, and we're in the 5.5, 5.6 or 5.7 range, and getting closer to that lock-in number of 3 to 4. I think we could see a good influx of inventory in the spring for sure. Um, we'll have to see, but yes, I think obviously it's going to be better than last year for
Oh,
sure. So, does anybody else have anything they want to add from this amazing think tank?
I'll tell you my only one concern. You know what? I think it's mostly positive, but and I agree. I think that we'll see a much better year than last year, a much more opportunity for people to buy. Is the economy still seems strong? So everybody thinks that it's the economy that's going to lower rates. The economy is supposed to slow up because of everything the Fed's done, and the numbers still seem pretty strong. So that'll be an interesting
Hmm.
thing to watch as we go forward.
Yeah. I mean, the economy is strong, but I think people are also kind of exhausted with the inflation, right? The
Mhm.
amount of things costing these days. I think people are just like, we need a break here. We need something to give a little relief so people aren't having to live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like, it's a deterioration of the middle class. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, you, there's, there's not a large subset of people in the middle class that can save money and put money away and live
right.
comfortably like they used to. It's just the
No,
cost of everything's
Not in New
out of
Jersey,
control.
that's for sure.
yeah, not
No,
yeah,
not here.
especially in New Jersey.
not here.
So
Yeah,
that's not really sustainable because the average person who's has good jobs and has done everything right the last 10, 15 years, they're not going to be able to retire. And that's not really I don't know. There's got to be some break in that in the levy.
yeah. I agree. I mean, I think the last couple of years have really, sidetracked a lot of people, and people had to rethink situations and lifestyles for sure, or even occupations, right? Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in. And but yeah, I think people are tired. I think people are tired of, everything being so expensive for sure. And people are like, something's got to give. Something has got to give. So we shall see. Anything else, gentlemen?
Looking forward to a February market talk where
Yeah.
things are exponentially on the rise.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So we don't all have to think new careers, rethink new careers, right? Right?
Hmm.
The fact that the four of us are on this having this market talk today in 2024, like hopefully we'll look back on it in 5, 10 years and be like, we were right. That was the worst of the worst. That would be a good thing if that was the case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
really
sure.
think I think we weathered the storm. I think there's still going to be some speed bumps along the way, I'm sure, but
Mm,
I think the worst is over.
yeah, me too. Any final thoughts?
Well,
Nope.
looking forward to a good year.
Let's have
Positive
a
note.
good Yep. Let's have a good year. And if anybody actually listened to the end of this conversation on this podcast/video, if you guys need any help, don't hesitate to, click the link below. There will be a website there. You can reach out to Bob, Joe, Jeff, myself, and we can answer any questions for you guys. So thank you for joining us, everybody, and we look forward to the next one.
Thanks, guys. Good to
Take care,
see
Take
you.
care,
guys.
guys.
Have a good one.